All right, you're a seller in this market. You're a seller in any market. You got some offers that come across the table. One of them's cash. The other one is financing, but with a really low down payment. What do you do? Cash is always king, right? You got a cash offer sitting next to a financed offer. Let's even go all the way. Let's say it's all cash and the financed offer is like almost no money down. Sometimes it is no money down, like VA or, government-backed FHA, first-time home buyer program with like a down payment assistance, or, conventional can go down to 3 or 5 or whatever, right? So you get the idea. There's your XY axis. You've got cash on one side. You got heavily leveraged offer on the other side. Let's say both of them hit your kitchen table at the same time. You got 2 offers. Let's even make this even more entertaining and say that they're the same price, which is usually not the case, right? The cash guy or gal is going to try to get some traction for the fact that they're cash. They're going to try to come in a little bit lower. Hey, as they should. It's an open market, right? That's the game. So that you're trying to basically look and say, hey, look, seller, I'm giving you the confidence quotient that every seller desires, which is that I'm going to actually be there in the finish line when it's all said and done to close this deal, because I got no lender, I got no appraisal, right? I got no paycheck stub that comes in showing I made 0.5% less this last pay quarter than the one before, kicking it back into underwriting. You get the point, right? Whereas if I'm heavily leveraged, that lender's going to be all up over every little detail, creating a probability even much so higher with the less amount money down that we're never going to hit the finish line, right? So that's going to get traction. That's why the cash is king. A lot of sellers even ask that, what do I care if it's cash? At the end of the day, it's just a check into my bank account, right? Wired over. That's why. You're buying the confidence quotient that it's actually going to see its way all the way there in the first place. That's obvious, okay? But what's the other part of it, right? What's the little insidious thing that goes down once you actually slap the table with a cash offer? This is the conversation that needs to be had in, kitchen tables across the county that I fear is not, because the big, sexy draw of the all cash offer sucks the oxygen out of the whole conversation. As long as it's enough money in the offer, 9.5 times out of 10, they go with the cash. Here's why you wouldn't necessarily. The cash guys have a tendency to be entitled, let's call it, right? And there's this thing that happens with the cash gang where they're like, cool, got it, little discount, awesome. But when they're in, they're not stoked to be in. They may or may not be. I'm making this a hyperbolic point just to demonstrate the point. They get in and then they go do their home inspection. They're like, oh, well, I'm the cash guy, right? And I'm not going to take the pipe that works just fine, the sewer pipe that's cast iron that works just fine. No, I need you to update that. So I'm going to say I need an all new ABS, or I want a $10,000 credit, because I'm the cash guy. You can almost hear like the soundtrack spin, right? And there's this thing where even though the highest probability on that left side of the XY axis is for them to close, it at the same time is the lowest probability on the Y axis for them to actually want to. So there's like a volition quotient on top of a technical quotient, almost like a Venn diagram that's being layered on. Whereas a highly leveraged buyer, right, they're just stoked to be in the deal. They're like, oh my God, I got in with my 5% down. The seller said yes. The chances are they're going to be so much more grateful that they're even in the deal in the first place. I'm not going to say they're not going to ask for a repair request, but, chances are it's going to probably be a little bit more buoyant, right? Or homeostatic for the universe of everythingness, right? Like more reasonable to say, okay, hey, here's the health and safety items we found, and I'm totally reasonable, whatever you're willing to kind of go, so that you get past that bottom of the barrel emotional point of the home inspection. Off the high of getting yes, you go to the very bottom of the emotional barrel inside of a real estate transaction. You're more likely to get through that with somebody who has way more appreciation for the fact that you said yes to them in the first place. Now, there's a ton of nuances we're going to step over the top of, right? Which is cash guy or gal might have the ability to overcome a seller saying no because they got an extra money to put in the sewer pipe if it really needed to be done, where a financed offer heavily leveraged might be pinching every single penny to get that deal done. They won't have the ability. So you can do that little dance left and right. But big picture, though, and I want to get into the lexicon of this decision-making matrix, is it's not just cash every time. Sometimes, and it's a little more nuanced, right? Sometimes the appreciation of actually having the opportunity to buy it in the first place is tenfold versus the cash guy or gal who is maybe 10 times more likely to bounce over something or get nasty in the throes of a repair request negotiation because they feel more entitled versus just appreciative to actually be there. So something to think about, gang, next time you're having that conversation. It's a good problem to have, right? But think about that in a little bit different way. It might be helpful.
Greenhouse Group formula. 6 steps to 5 stars. 4 promises, 3 asks, 2 camps, real estate and mortgage, and 1 team. Green Team. And no excuses. All right.